Alright, so today I'm going to show you how to take apart your PS4 so you could service it, keep it clean. It's really important to take these apart every once in a while, clean the dust out of the inside, refresh the thermal paste. So this is just a regular PS4, not a Slim or a Pro. There is two different types of these that have different disassembly processes. This one is for ones that have click buttons on the front. These usually have a matte panel instead of a glossy panel over here. And they will only have 2 screws instead of 4 on the back. So just 2 right here. And then where you're going to start is you're just going to remove your 2 stickers here. Once you get those stickers out, you're going to expose the screws here. Now I'm going to be taking most of the screws out off camera because it's a little easier for me to pull it off to the side, not having the stand in my way here. And it saves some time in the video so you're not sitting here watching me take out a whole bunch of screws the whole time. Once you have those 2 screws out, come back to the top. This side panel here just pushes off. That one wasn't terribly stiff, but sometimes these can be extremely stiff. And then that's going to expose 2 screws here that are keeping this panel on. Once you take those out, you can pull this up and rock that back out. Again, sometimes these are stiff. And then for the bottom, it just pulls down. This one is really stiff on the bottom. I might have to take this behind the camera so I don't knock the stand over. Alright, that one was extremely stiff. I ended up cutting myself on it. But once you pop it out back here, you can lift it up, pull that out. And then I'm going to vacuum up a lot of this dust real quick. Alright, so now we can start taking all the screws out. There are a few different types of screws here. So most of them are these Torx screws. Then you also have 2 smaller Phillips here, and then 3 different smaller Phillips up here, as well as these black Phillips screws. So one thing that I like to do that's helpful, just so you can more easily see particularly where these black screws are, is take a Sharpie and come around and just mark around where all of the black screws are. And then it's pretty easy. These ones, they have domed tops. These have flat tops. They're small Phillips. And then the only other different one is this one here for your hard drive. That's also a Phillips. So I'll just take this one screw out. And then you can slide your hard drive out. There's nothing else holding that on. And then for here, there's something that I want to show you under there real quick. So once you take those 2 screws out, that just lifts straight up. And you're going to see this metal tab here. This is where one of the screws in the power supply threads into. Once you take that screw out, this is just loose. It's going to fall off. So we'll come back to that later, but I just want you to be mindful of it from the start. And then we'll go around, we'll start taking all these screws out. I like to keep them all in a pile where, like, the stage I'm taking out. So all the screws that I'm taking out of here, I'm putting in a little pile over here, so I know I've gotten all the screws back in each section of it. Alright, now we have those screws out. I just want to show you the difference between those 2 up front. This one here, it's a little bit longer and it's got a dome top. Those come from over here. This one that's shorter and it's got a flatter top. 3 of those are up here. So with that out, you can pull that piece off. You can just pop this cover right off. And pay attention to these thermal pads. You don't want to lose any of them. They're very important. And then you have your clamp here for your processor. I'll loosen one side quite a bit and then come to the other side. Take the other side all the way out. And then finish taking that side out. And set that to the side. This piece just lifts right off. And then unplug this ribbon here. Come back over to this side. And then you have a couple Phillips here in the processor, and then a whole bunch of those same Torx screws all around. You don't need to worry about these or any of these tiny screws on your disk drive. Just take out the Torx screws and these 2 screws for the power supply. Also keep in mind, once you take this screw out for your Bluetooth antenna, that's the only thing that's holding it in. So you just want to be mindful of it so you don't lose it. And then this thing, because I had it off to the side, I already picked it up, but make sure you don't lose this. So then come here, unplug that. Take something just to help you pry up a little bit to get your power supply out. It just helps to have something else to get off those prongs. Then you can unplug that. Then you have these little ribbons here. Carefully unplug these. This middle one here, this black tab, you want to pull that up, and then you'll be able to just lift that right out. And then your Bluetooth antenna here, it just plugs, or it comes straight up to unplug. And then just take it out from around all those. You can work your disk drive out. Set that to the side for now. We'll come back to it later. Come back over to this side. Unplug your fan. Be mindful of your power button. That'll slide off. And then we're going to want to come in and clean up all the old thermal paste off of here and here. You can use a Q-tip with some isopropyl alcohol to get everything over here clean. You can just take a paper towel, wipe this part down. Alright, so once you have that cleaned off, you want to get all the old thermal paste off the processor, make it nice and shiny. Then you can just set your motherboard aside for now. We're going to put a fresh dollop of thermal paste on that later. To take this piece off, we got 3 screws here. Those are Phillips. once you have those screws out, then you can just lift this piece out. This has your radiator on it. It's not as dirty as I expect. That one's not too bad. A lot of times this will get all matted up with dust. Then you have your fan. This one just has one screw in the fan right here. Getting that out, then you can just pop your fan straight up. Then you want to go clean this out. You can just take a brush. I'm not going to do it here. I'm going to do it over the trash can. But you just brush that out there. To get the top, hold this part of the fan because this will spin. And you can just move it around like that. And then use a toothbrush on this part too, just to get the stuff out of there. Alright, now we can plop the fan right back in. Then put that one screw back there. Once that screws back in, we can take this piece, drop that right back in place, and then you have two screws here, one screw there. Alright, now we can take our motherboard with a nice fresh dollop of thermal paste on there and rock that right back into place. Plug your fan back in. And just double check again. Make sure all of your thermal pads are here. You take this piece, drop that back in. Your clamp, this little nub here goes down. Pop those screws on, and then I just do basically the reverse of how I took them out. I'll take one and I'll tighten it down a bit. And then I'll come over to the other one. And you just want to make sure it's nice and tight. Come back with this. Set that on. And then we're just going to work all the screws back in. I guess I'll just slide that back in there first. And just screw that right down. Then you can take this piece here, and it slides over the corner there. So put that back on, and then just remember these little flat screws go up here. These two little dome silver screws here and here. And take this, put that over there before you put this back on. That's very important because that's what the power supply will thread into. And then this screw hole and this screw hole you're going to leave empty because those are for the top panel. So then just go around, put all your screws back in. Alright. Then you can take your power button, just slide that right back in. And now we can set this off to the side. And we're going to bring our disk drive back. So these disk drives, they just have two screws here, one up here, or one up over here, one up over there. So you're just going to take those two out. Once you have those two screws out, you just lift this up and it tucks under here. And you can just set that off to the side for now. So what we're going to do next is clean up these rollers here. So get a paper towel, saturate it with isopropyl alcohol. You're going to want to come in here, scrub these down really good just so you can revitalize them even if they don't look too dirty. And then over down in here, you can put your Phillips screwdriver and rotate it a little bit, and it'll turn those rollers. You can come in, clean it again, and then just keep repeating that same process until you've gone around it a couple times to get them all nice and good. Alright, once you got those all cleaned up, come in with a Q-tip, some isopropyl alcohol, and gently hit your laser a little bit. And then you can come down in here, clean up in here a little bit, kind of gently get behind that felt. Take that same paper towel that you were using, try to clean up the front here a little bit. Now once you have that all cleaned up, come back in with your cover, slide it in there first, drop it back down, and then you just put your two screws back in up here, and there you go. Your disk drive's all done and back together. So now we can set that back to the side. Now we're ready to start putting this back together. Come drop your disk drive back in. And take this little ribbon and just drop it through there. We'll plug it back in after we finish with this part. Take your Bluetooth antenna. Put that back on. And put your screw back in. For that. And then just put it back in all of its little things. Come down around. Under here. Couldn't see what I was doing, so I paused it real quick to bring it back over. Slot it around these two things here. And then get it, plug it back in here. It shouldn't take a lot of force to push it down. It should just kind of pop right back in. If you're having to push real hard, it's probably not aligned. It can be tricky to get these little plugs aligned. And then we'll come back over here, plug all of our ribbons in. This one, just like before, you're going to want to make sure that is up, so you can just drop that in and then push it back down. And then just gently work both of those back in. Doing it with my left hand, so it's kind of awkward. Alright, pause it again just so I can bring it back to get a better angle. Then take this plug, plug that back in. You can grab your power supply, drop your power supply in. You might need to give it a nice little push over here to get into those prongs. And again, just like with that plug, you shouldn't have to apply a lot of force. It should just be a little bit of force to get it to snap in. If you're having to push really hard, something may not be lined up properly. And if you keep pushing past it, you might break something. So then take the other end of this plug, plug that back into your power supply. Take this metal cover, put that back on, and then just go around and put all your screws back in. Alright, once you got all those screws back in, come back to this side. Make sure that ribbon stays going through here. And then we're gonna plug this ribbon back in. Alright, then we can grab the bottom, snap that back in, grab this top panel, snap that back on. Then you got two screws. Let me get it better. Two screws that you're going to put back in here. Once you have those two screws in, you get your other panel, and that just slides right back on, snaps in. Then you come to the back here, put these two screws back in, and you're all done. Your PS4 is all nice and refreshed and ready to keep playing. I hope you found this video helpful, and stay tuned for more.